Chapter 37:28. The heavenly Acrypod race was left with only the Emperor God. The God Emperor stopped pursuing Lu Ming. He looked at Lu Ming coldly, his expression cold. "Lad, you've killed so many people from the heavenly Acrypod tribe. Just wait for the endless revenge of the heavenly Acrypod tribe." "Revenge? As long as I get rid of you, who will know that I killed them?" Lu Ming asked with a smile. "Ha ha ha, you still want to kill me? Although I am injured, do you think it is possible for you to kill me? If we continue fighting, you will be the one to die." The Emperor God said coldly, full of confidence. Although he was injured and his combat strength was not at its peak, he did not believe that Lu Ming could kill him. If they continued fighting, he would be the one to win. "Is that so? Then let's fight." Lu Ming roared and pounced on the Emperor God. "Kill!" The divine Emperor of the heavenly Acrypod race roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! The two of them clashed again and fought fiercely. This time, Lu Ming went crazy. He did not care about his own defense and attacked with all his might. Bam! Lu Ming was hit and a saber wound appeared on his body. His body was almost cut open. However, at the same time that Lu Ming was hit, the Emperor God was hit as well. Lu Ming landed a punch on the other party's shoulder. All kinds of secret skills erupted in his fist at the same time, forcefully tearing apart the other party's protective divine power and the body of a divine emperor. A large part of the other party's shoulder exploded. However, Lu Ming's injuries were recovering quickly. Again, Lu Ming roared and continued to attack the Emperor God. Not long after, Lu Ming was hit again. However, the Emperor God was hit as well. This was a lose-lose battle. This monster is really a monster. The Emperor God roared in his heart. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. Lu Ming's recovery ability was too strong. If this continued, the Emperor God would be the first to die, not Lu Ming. He was already thinking of retreating. As a result, his fighting spirit weakened. When enemies meet on a narrow path, the courageous will win. In a battle of equal strength, the weaker one's fighting spirit, the weaker one's fighting strength. Now, Lu Ming was keenly aware of the change in the other party's heart. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for. The taboo energy poured into the stone bead. One! Lu Ming waved his hand and the two stone pearls flew up into the sky. The pearls grew bigger and bigger as they pressed down on the heavenly Acrypod deity emperor. The terrifying gravity caused the heavenly Acrypod race divine emperor's body to fall rapidly and crash heavily onto the ground. Then, the two stone pearls smashed towards the heavenly Acrypod race's god emperor like two mountains. The heavenly Acrypod race's deity emperor roared and attacked the stone pearls with all his might. Two of the stone pearls were sent flying away, but his palms were also cracked and blood flowed out. At the same time Shizhu attacked, Lu Ming had already charged towards his opponent. As soon as the stone pearls were pushed back, they were faced with Lu Ming's storm-like attacks. The heavenly Acrypod race's deity emperor had not recovered from the series of attacks from the stone pearls. Moreover, his body was suppressed by the powerful gravity and his strength was severely restricted. He could not fight back at all. Bam! Lu Ming's left hand was like a sharp blade that broke through his defense and chopped off one of his arms. Lu Ming's right hand clenched into a fist and punched through the heavenly Acrypod race's deity emperor's chest. His chest exploded and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The heavenly Acrypod race's deity emperor had been smashed into the huge pit. When the pit exploded, he was blasted into the ground, creating a huge crater. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood and his body was in tatters. His aura was extremely weak. I can't accept this. I am a deity emperor. How can I die in the hands of a divine sovereign junior? He roared as if he had gone mad. The remaining divine power burned fiercely and he transformed into his original form. He flapped his wings and tried to escape. However, the two stone pearls pressed down on him. The terrifying gravity caused him to fall to the ground. Bam! Lu Ming charged forward and stomped heavily on the heavenly Acrypod race's deity emperor's chest. His chest exploded and only his head was left. Little bastard! The heavenly Acripod race's deity emperor was still shouting when Lu Ming punched him. The deity emperor's head exploded and his soul was destroyed. At this point, all the heavenly Acripods had been killed. Lu Ming's body flashed, and he kept all the interspatial rings. Then, he went to the white skeleton. The bone pearls were scattered on the ground. Lu Ming collected them one by one. There were a total of 18 bone pearls of different sizes. They were filled with rich life energy. Lu Ming was satisfied. With these gains, this trip was worth it. Lu Ming moved and left the place. After a series of battles, he was afraid that others would be alerted. It was better to leave as soon as possible. Not long after Lu Ming left, people from the two forces arrived. When they saw the locust corpses all over the ground, they looked at each other in dismay. In the end, they looked horrified and retreated hurriedly. They thought that there was a terrifying danger here. Otherwise, how could the heavenly Acripod race be wiped out? Lu Ming found a secluded place and cultivated for a while. He adjusted his condition to the peak. He secretly sensed that the potential stored in his cells had decreased by a little. There was only about 10% left. As for his cultivation, it had also increased a little. The speed of energy consumption is too fast. Lu Ming sighed. He took out another divine herb and absorbed it. Lu Ming was too lazy to use monarch-level divine herbs. He kept them with him to trade with others. Lu Ming focused on absorbing emperor-level divine herbs. As his cultivation base increased, the potential stored in his cells required more energy. After refining 3 pieces of emperor-level divine medicine consecutively, Lu Ming increased the potential stored in his cells to 50%. In the past, I only needed 2 emperor-level divine herbs. Now I need 3. Sure enough, I don't have many emperor-level divine herbs left, Lu Ming thought. He only had 9 emperor-grade divine herbs left in his possession. Fortunately, he had obtained 18 bone pearls. The total energy of the 18 bone pearls was definitely above that of 9 emperor-level divine herbs. He could still use it for a while. With 50% stored, it was enough for the time being. With so much energy, even if he was beaten to a pulp, he could still recover. After finishing his cultivation, Lu Ming left the place. After checking the direction, Lu Ming headed west. Before entering the ruins of the heavenly Acripod race, he had learned from Jiang Libang that the greatest opportunity of the heavenly Acripod race was definitely in the capital of the heavenly Acripod race. The west direction was towards the depths of the heavenly Acripod race. The capital of the heavenly Acripod race should be in that direction. Lu Ming moved forward quickly. After an hour, he did not know how far he had traveled. Suddenly, boom! 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 Violent explosions came from ahead. Divine light shone brightly, illuminating half the sky. There was an intense battle in front of him. Lu Ming restrained his aura and quickly approached along the ground. Chapter 37-29. There was a huge battle ahead. Lu Ming moved forward quietly. True enough, not long after, he saw a group of people fighting fiercely. On one side was Jiang Libang and the experts he brought with him. On the other side, Lu Ming recognized the experts from the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect. These 2 forces were one of the 4 forces that had joined forces with Jiang Libang. But now, these 2 forces had joined forces to deal with Jiang Libang's group. Without a doubt, each force had sent a divine emperor realm expert. But unlike the heavenly locust race, these forces only had 1 divine emperor. Jiang Libang had 1, while the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect each had 1. Jiang Libang's group was at a disadvantage. Qianli sect, Earth Origin sect, you're despicable! Didn't we agree to be allies? Jiang Libang roared. At this moment, he was in a sorry state. His hair was disheveled, and his body was covered in blood. We're despicable? You're the despicable ones who wanted to take the treasure for yourselves. Hand over the Windfire Pearl now! A young man in a red robe shouted from the Qianli sect. Bullshit! The Windfire Pearl was ours to begin with. You're the ones who saw the treasure and wanted a share. You betrayed your allies! Jiang Libang roared. Humph! Jiang Libang, no matter what, everyone who saw the treasure has a share. You want Tun? No way! Hand it over and we'll split it equally! The Qianli sect's young man snorted. That's right! Split it equally! Otherwise you, Jiang Libang, won't be able to walk out of the heavenly eclipsed divine nation. Another young man from the Earth Origin sect sneered. Don't even think about it. This treasure is mine to begin with. Jiang Libang roared, his hair fluttering in the wind. In the distance, Lu Ming heard these words and roughly understood what was going on. It was obvious that Jiang Libang and his people had obtained the Windfire Pearl and were discovered by the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect. They were greedy and betrayed their alliance to get a share of the loot. Should I take action? Lu Ming pondered. Jiang Libang was a good person. Although he had the intention of borrowing Lu Ming's strength, it was indeed a rare opportunity for Lu Ming to tell him about the Tianyue divine nation. Lu Ming wondered if he should help Jiang Libang. Of course, this was also because Lu Ming's battle prowess had greatly increased that he had such a thought. In the past, he would not have thought this way before his cultivation had made several breakthroughs. The Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect had 2 divine emperors. In the past, even if he went out, he would only die. But now, Lu Ming had the confidence to confront the God King. At this moment, Jiang Libang and his men were retreating in defeat. The godly emperor on his side was suppressed by the other 2 godly emperors. He could only fight back and had no power to fight back. It was the same for the battle below the divine emperor realm. It was completely one-sided and the situation was precarious. Whoosh! Lu Ming made up his mind. With a flash of his body, he dashed out like a phantom. As soon as Lu Ming rushed out, the people in the battle noticed Lu Ming. It's him! It's that kid! The people from the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect saw Lu Ming and recognized Lu Ming. They knew that Lu Ming was brought by Jiang Libang, but they did not care at all. Why should they care about a young divine emperor? Jiang Libang and the others also saw Lu Ming. Brother Lu, leave quickly! Jiang Libang shouted. Lu Ming smiled. Jiang Libang still asked him to leave at this time, which meant that he had made the right decision to help. Brother Jiang, let me lend you a hand! Lu Ming smiled. Brother Lu, leave quickly! Jiang Libang shouted. Although Lu Ming was very strong and could easily deal with the 4 quasi-emperors of the heavenly Acripud race, the other party had one more divine emperor than them. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, he was only a divine emperor and not a high-level one. The difference between him and a divine emperor was too great. He did not think that Lu Ming could deal with a divine emperor. The people that Jiang Libang brought were also disappointed. Initially, he thought that some expert had come. He did not expect it to be Lu Ming. It was useless. No worries! Lu Ming smiled and arrived at the battlefield in the blink of an eye. Go and finish him! The young man in the red robe of the Qianli sect said to a 9th-level divine emperor. In his opinion, it was a waste to send a 9th-level divine emperor to deal with Lu Ming. Don't worry, young master. I only need one move to kill him. That 9th-level divine lord old man received the order. His figure was like a streak of fire as he charged out, pouncing towards Lu Ming. Kid, you're courting death. Don't blame me. Kill! The old man sneered and waved his hand. Flames filled the sky and spread towards Lu Ming. The temperature of the flames was frighteningly high. Such power, not to mention Lu Ming, who was a 5th-level divine emperor, even a 7th-level or 8th-level divine emperor would be burned to death. However, Lu Ming was expressionless. He did not care about the temperature of the flames at all. Swish! Lu Ming activated a secret spear technique in his hand and a long spear appeared in his hand. He swung his hand and the long spear shot out like lightning. Everywhere it passed, the space was pierced and a pitch-black spear mark appeared. The long spear rushed into the flames and did not encounter any resistance. It broke through the flames and stabbed towards the 9th-level divine emperor. How is this possible? The ninth-level Divine Emperor opened his eyes wide in disbelief. He could not quite figure out how his move was broken so easily. He had yet to react and the long spear already arrived, piercing through his glabella. The ninth-level Divine Emperor was dead. The scene suddenly paused. The movements of the people in the great battle could not help turning stiff. Clearly, Lu Ming killing a ninth-level Divine Emperor with one move exceeded everyone's expectations. Only Jiang Libang was a little better. Damn it! Go, Quasi-Emperors, take action and kill him! That youth from Qianli sect shouted. Want to kill me? I'll kill you first! Lu Ming's gaze turned cold, and he directly rushed towards that youth from Qianli sect. Kid courting death! Kill! Inside Qianli sect, two quasi-emperor realm existences shouted and rushed towards Lu Ming, unleashing swift and fierce attacks. The ones dying are you guys! Lu Ming gave a cold cry. His palm was like a blade, chopping out. Two streaks of blade light burst forth in succession, breaking apart the other party's attack. Puff puff. Blood splattered everywhere, and the two quasi-emperors were also killed. This time, everyone's hearts trembled violently. Killing quasi-emperors was as easy as pie. What kind of combat strength was this? Lu Ming's figure rapidly approached the youth from Qianli sect. At this moment, the youth from Qianli sect's face turned extremely ugly, revealing a look of horror. His combat strength was not even comparable to a quasi-emperor. If Lu Ming got close to him, wouldn't he be dead? Save me! The youth from Qianli sect shouted. Kid, how dare you! With a loud roar, heaven and earth shook and a terrifying aura filled the air. It was the Divine Emperor from Qianli sect. Chapter 37:30. Shouted the Qianli sect's godly emperor. He then threw a punch at Lu Ming. He threw a punch, and the terrifying fist force condensed into a flaming furnace. It was as huge as a mountain, and crimson in color. It charged toward Lu Ming to suppress him. Under the pressure of the furnace, the atmosphere exploded. Everybody's expression changed drastically. Nobody dared get close. That was a godly emperor's attack. It was terrifying. If anyone below the godly emperor realm was hit by it, they would definitely die. Brother Lu, be careful! Shouted Jiang Libang. That little boy is going to die. He's a little bit strong, but he dares act arrogantly in front of me. Die! Shouted the young man from the Qianli sect. He looked ferocious. He was convinced that Lu Ming was going to die. He wasn't the only one who thought so, everybody else thought the same. But what happened next was beyond everybody's expectations. Lu Ming threw a punch at the smelting furnace that the Divine Emperor had thrown out. Lu Ming was surprisingly going to resist the godly emperor's attack. He's overestimating himself. He's really overestimating himself. He's going to die. He's definitely going to die. There's no way he'll survive. He's a little bit strong, but he's already so confident. Many people were thinking the same thing. They could already see Lu Ming's body exploding. Boom! In a flash, Lu Ming punched the furnace. The sky shook violently and a red light dashed to the sky. The entire sky was dyed red. That little boy must have turned into ashes, thought the crowd. But the result was different. Everyone saw a figure retreating rapidly in the midst of the flames. He didn't turn into ashes. His corpse is still there. How astonishing! That little boy is really strong. He's facing a godly emperor's attack and he's still alive. It's a miracle! Almost everyone thought that Lu Ming had died and left behind a corpse. A godly emperor, a cultivator of the fifth godly emperor layer, had faced a godly emperor's attack. How could he not die? There was no way he was still alive. They all thought that Lu Ming was already dead. What surprised them the most was that Lu Ming's corpse was still alive. If it were anyone else, they would definitely end up with their body and soul destroyed. But in the next moment, everyone's eyes widened in shock and disbelief. The retreating figure was indeed Lu Ming. However, he did not die. After retreating tens of thousands of meters, he successfully stabilized his body. Boom! The aura on Lu Ming's body was still exuberant, and full of vitality. There were only a few burns on his body, but they were recovering quickly. Other than that, there were no signs of serious injuries. How is this possible? This was the only thought left in everyone's mind. Initially, they thought that it was already a miracle that Lu Ming could withstand a celestial emperor's attack and still retain his corpse. But now, Lu Ming had completely shattered their understanding. Not only was Lu Ming fine, he didn't even seem to be seriously injured. He had only suffered some superficial wounds. Impossible! This is impossible! It must have been a casual attack from the Divine Emperor, and he didn't use much strength. The youth from the Dryly sect shook his head like a rattled drum. He simply couldn't believe that Lu Ming was so strong. The Celestial Emperor from the Dryly sect also became serious. He was well aware of how powerful that move was. Although that move wasn't his strongest move, it was no small matter. It could kill a large number of quasi-emperors, but it couldn't do anything to Lu Ming. Lu Ming's battle strength shocked him. The battle strength of a celestial emperor is only SOSO. Come, let me see your strongest battle strength. Lu Ming turned his head and looked at the celestial emperor, his battle intent soaring to the sky. Lu Ming issued a challenge to a celestial emperor. This was a celestial emperor in his prime. Lu Ming wanted to see how big the gap was between him and a celestial emperor in his prime. In the past, if Lu Ming dared to challenge a divine emperor, everyone would be laughing their heads off and would not be stingy with their ridicule. But now, no one ridiculed him. No matter what, Lu Ming had just resisted a celestial emperor's attack. He was already strong enough to challenge a celestial emperor. At that moment, the people who had just been fighting stopped and looked at each other. They were all looking at Lu Ming. A cultivator of the 5th godly emperor layer was challenging a cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer. That kind of thing was extremely rare. They wanted to see how strong Lu Ming was. If you want to challenge me, you should be prepared to be killed by me. It feels good to be able to kill a peerless genius. The celestial emperor of the Dryly sect had his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes were filled with flames. A furnace surrounded his body. Clearly, he had used his true strength. He took a step forwards and appeared not far from Lu Ming. The celestial emperors on Jiangli Bang's side and the celestial emperors of the Earth Origin sect also stopped fighting and looked at Lu Ming. As celestial emperors, they knew the difference between a celestial emperor and a celestial emperor. They were also curious to see how Lu Ming, a mere cultivator of the 5th godly emperor layer, could compete with a celestial emperor. Did he not know the immensity of heaven and earth? Or did he really have that kind of strength? Come! Lu Ming's eyes were filled with battle intent. His body's cells were trembling. Each of his cells was bursting with strength. 60 trillion celestial emperors' strength had condensed into a terrifying strength. The battle incantation had increased his fighting strength by 5 times. Lu Ming's fighting strength had reached the peak. He didn't immediately use the stone beads. He wanted to rely on his own strength to fight against the celestial emperor. When facing a strong opponent, the pressure could also stimulate his potential. Boom! Lu Ming made the first move. His body moved and the air exploded. The void trembled as he quickly approached the celestial emperor of the Qianli sect. He punched out with both fists, activating the power of various secret techniques. Although all the secret techniques were hidden, they weren't weak at all. Once an expert made a move, it was obvious whether they were strong or not. The power of Lu Ming's attack made the celestial emperor of the Qianli sect narrow his eyes slightly. This kind of power had already reached the threshold of a celestial emperor. Some ordinary races weren't as strong when they had just broken through to the celestial emperor layer. Suppress him! The celestial emperor of the Qianli sect shouted coldly. He pressed down with his hand and divine power surged. A huge furnace formed and blasted toward Lu Ming. This furnace was even more majestic, more solid, and more powerful than the previous one. Dong! 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 Lu Ming's fists continuously bombarded the furnace, causing earth-shattering explosions. Every explosion was like a planet exploding. terrifying energy and terrifying flames swept out in all directions. Scorching heatwaves were emitted one after another. The people of the three major forces had no choice but to retreat to avoid the heatwaves. Chapter 37-31. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had thrown out dozens of punches, bombarding the furnace. Finally, there was a loud bang and the furnace exploded. Lu Ming retreated rapidly. However, Lu Ming wasn't seriously injured. He only had some light injuries that were quickly recovering. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Previously, Lu Ming could withstand the Divine Emperor's attack head-on because the Divine Emperor did not use much strength. However, the Divine Emperor of the Qianli sect had obviously used a lot of strength in the earlier attack. One could tell from the power that it was very shocking. However, it was still blocked by Lu Ming. Lu Ming really had the qualifications to challenge the Divine Emperor. A 5th-level Divine Lord actually had such combat strength. It was unheard of. It was simply heaven-defying. Again! Lu Ming let out a long roar. He stepped into the void and charged toward the Divine Emperor of the Qianli sect once again. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. The Divine Emperor was enraged. With a cold shout, he turned into a ball of fire and charged towards Lu Ming. He used all his strength. His entire body was enveloped by a red furnace. With a wave of his hand, numerous flaming furnaces formed and charged towards Lu Ming. This was his secret technique. Whether it was the divine power of the origin or the shackles, it had reached a shocking level. Its power was shocking. It had the power to burn the universe and destroy the starry sky. Lu Ming used all his strength to resist. Explosions rang out continuously. It had to be said that a divine emperor at his peak was extremely powerful. He completely suppressed Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming fought with all his strength, he was still no match for him. He was completely at a disadvantage and kept retreating. Boom! In a moment of carelessness, his chest was hit by a furnace. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. A large piece of his chest exploded and a terrifying flame kept burning. Lu Ming coughed up blood and retreated. The potential in his cells was constantly stimulated, healing his injuries. However, the Divine Emperor wouldn't give him a chance to recover. He charged towards Lu Ming again and launched a torrential attack. Lu Ming retreated continuously, completely at a disadvantage. This kid is going to be defeated. Fortunately, he's still not a match for the Divine Emperor. He's not that heaven-defying. Many people breathed a sigh of relief. 5th-level Divine Lord, to be able to battle with a Divine Emperor to this extent, it was already extremely heaven-defying. They had never heard of it before. If he could truly contend with a Divine Emperor, that would be too terrifying. Seeing that Lu Ming was about to be defeated, they finally felt a little better in their hearts. Otherwise, wouldn't they be too trashy compared to Lu Ming? Not good! Elder Phone, go and help Brother Lu! Jiang Libang's face turned ugly as he quickly sent a message to the deity emperor he brought with him, asking him to help Lu Ming. However, the deity emperor from the Earth Origin sect had his eyes on this deity emperor. When he moved, the deity emperor moved as well. Neither of them could do anything to the other. That brat is overestimating himself and wants to challenge the divine emperor. Let's just wait and see. The deity emperor from the Earth Origin sect said coldly. Damn it! Jiang Libang shouted angrily, but there was nothing he could do. He was already at a disadvantage. Even if he wanted to save Lu Ming, he was powerless. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and the deity emperor from the Qianli sect had exchanged dozens of blows. During this time, Lu Ming was hit twice in a row and was severely injured. The strong pressure made Lu Ming's blood boil. Every cell in his body was trembling as a steady stream of potential was stimulated. It's about time, Lu Ming muttered. At this stage of the battle, Lu Ming's potential had been suppressed to a minimum for the time being. Buzz! At this time, Lu Ming activated the string of stone beads. The 2 stone beads flew out and pressed down on the deity emperor from the Qianli sect. Under the strong pressure, the deity emperor from the Qianli sect stiffened, and his expression changed. The gravity of the two stone beads had a great impact on him. Kill! Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming charged forward. Boom! Boom! The two of them exchanged a few blows. This time, both of them were pushed back. This time, the deity emperor from the Qianli sect was suppressed by the gravity. He had to divert a portion of his divine power to resist the gravity, so his strength was greatly reduced. Lu Ming closed the distance between the two. What a mysterious treasure. Do you think you can fight me with just one treasure? Watch me destroy your treasure. The deity emperor from the Qianli sect shouted coldly. He charged forward against the gravity and waved his hands. Two furnaces flew out and hit the stone beads. With two clangs, the stone beads were sent flying, but nothing happened to them. Under the control of Lu Ming, they flew back. The strong gravity continued to envelop the deity emperor from the Qianli sect. Lu Ming charged forward and fought with the deity emperor from the Qianli sect. For a moment, the two of them were evenly matched and neither of them could do anything to the other. They exchanged dozens of blows in a row. How is this possible? The people from the Qianli sect had ugly expressions. They did not expect Lu Ming to be able to resist a deity emperor. Jiang Libang and the others were overjoyed. This way, they would not be at a disadvantage against the deity emperor. It would be difficult for the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect to deal with them. This was because a deity emperor could easily kill anyone below the deity emperor realm. No matter which deity emperor it was, they would be in danger if they attacked anyone below the deity emperor realm. Previously, they had two deity emperors who could completely suppress the deity emperor on Jiang Libang's side. He would not be able to attack and would even be killed. But now, with the appearance of Lu Ming, the situation had changed. Boom! Lu Ming exchanged a few blows with the deity emperor from the Qianli sect. The two of them retreated several hundred miles away from each other and did not continue to attack. Lu Ming had the stone beads and the deity emperor from the Qianli sect could not do anything to Lu Ming. But Lu Ming could not do anything to his opponent either. If they continued to fight, it would be difficult to determine the winner. It seems like you can't do anything to me. My recovery ability is very strong. If I risk getting injured, I'm afraid your Qianli sect will suffer a great loss, Lu Ming said with a smile. His words made the Qianli sect's people pale, especially the young man from the Qianli sect. His face turned ugly, and even showed some fear. Indeed, if Lu Ming risked getting injured to kill them, the Qianli sect's deity emperor might not be able to block him completely. In that case, he would be in danger. Good, very good. The young man from the Qianli sect gritted his teeth and glared at Lu Ming and Jiang Libang. He said, Jiang Libang, you're lucky today to have the help of an expert. We still have a long way to go. Let's go! He knew that he could not do anything to Jiang Libang today and could only retreat. As soon as he finished speaking, the people from the Qianli sect gathered together and retreated. Since the people from the Qianli sect were about to leave, the people from the Earth Origin sect naturally would not stay and left one after another. After a while, the people from the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect had all left. Brother Lu, thank you! Jiang Libang came over and thanked Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with shock, envy, and horror. Chapter 37-32. Jiang Libang found it hard to calm down. It wasn't that he had never seen a monstrous genius before, but a monstrous genius like Lu Ming was something he had never seen before. Previously, he had invited Lu Ming to the Tianhua Divine Kingdom because he was interested in Lu Ming's combat power. Lu Ming could easily defeat 4 quasi-emperors. Given his combat power, he would definitely be of help to him if he entered the ruins of the Tianhua Divine Kingdom. Previously, they had learned that there was something sinister in the Heavenly Yu Divine Kingdom's ruins. If a Divine Emperor expert were to enter, it would probably trigger the evil. Therefore, they didn't dare to bring a Divine Emperor expert in. Even if they did, they would seal their own cultivation in advance. Unless it was a last resort, they wouldn't break their own seal. That was why they needed Lu Ming. He didn't expect to get Lu Ming to come this time. Lu Ming had saved his life. His heart was filled with emotions. Lu Ming was becoming more and more mysterious in his heart. A fifth-level divine monarch who can contend against a divine emperor. Is there anyone in the top 10 major races with such combat strength? Could he be a genius from the heavenly palace? Thinking of this, Jiang Libang's heart was beating wildly. The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. The geniuses from the heavenly palace would also travel in the chaotic universe. Their purpose was to train and hone their skills. They would secretly train in the chaotic universe and hide their identity. However, the geniuses from the heavenly palace were incomparably terrifying. They defeated the strong with unparalleled combat strength. The other geniuses were like clay chickens and pottery dogs in front of them. They were invincible among their peers, peerless in their generation. Obviously, Lu Ming had such characteristics. That was why Jiang Libang thought of the heavenly palace. If he was really from the heavenly palace, then he would make friends with him now. The smile on Jiang Libang's face became wider, and he became more polite to Lu Ming. "Brother Jiang, you don't have to be so polite." Lu Ming smiled casually. "Brother Mu, we're going to the capital of the heavenly Yu divine kingdom now. How about we go together?" Jiang Libang said. "Coincidentally, I'm also going to the capital of the heavenly Yu divine kingdom. Let's go together," Lu Ming said. Jiang Libang and the others were overjoyed. With a great expert like Lu Ming by their side, their strength was greatly increased. They immediately set out and continued to move along the west. Nothing unexpected happened along the way. A day later, a huge city appeared before them. The city was tall and majestic, like an ancient giant beast lying on the ground. Even from afar, one could feel a powerful aura from it. This was the capital of the heavenly Yu divine kingdom. However, the city gate was to be closed. Lu Ming and the rest were not the first to arrive. When they arrived, people from other forces had already arrived. "Why don't you go in?" Someone asked about the powers that had arrived first. "The city gates are tightly shut. It's difficult to enter." The ice moon vine. Someone to the answered to the tease to enter this herd. "Since we can't enter through the city gates, we might as well fly in from above the city." S2's. T-des, to the U. The Frost Moon Vine race member replied coldly. Those words shocked Jiang Libang, Lu Ming, and the others. Obviously, it would be dangerous to enter from the top of the city. Otherwise, the Ice Moon Vine would have entered from the sky. "Try the city gate." Jiang Libang transmitted his voice to his subordinates. Immediately, more than a dozen quasi-emperor experts flew toward the city gate. Dazzling divine light burst out and bombarded the city gate. Boom, boom, boom. The city gate rumbled but did not break. It was as steady as Mount Tai. The quasi-emperors continued to attack with all their might, but it was useless. There were powerful formations on the city gates and city walls. As soon as they attacked, runes would appear on them and block their attacks. Jiang Libang continued to send people. Even the Divine Emperor experts were not able to break the city gate. "I'm afraid 1 or 2 Divine Emperors won't be able to break the city gate. Let's wait for the other forces to arrive and attack together," a Divine Emperor from the Ice Moon Vine race said. Jiang Libang could only order his men to retreat and wait here. As time passed, more and more people arrived. Suddenly, Jiang Libang's eyes flashed with cold, killing intent as he looked in a direction. On the other side, the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect came together. The people from the Qianli sect and the Earth Origin sect also looked at Jiang Libang, Lu Ming, and the others coldly. Especially when they looked at Lu Ming, their eyes were filled with seriousness. A few days later, all the forces that had entered the heavenly eclipse divine nation ruins had arrived. There were a total of 8 major forces, and each of them had a divine emperor. Why are there only so few people from the heavenly Akripud tribe? Could it be that the others have found other opportunities and did not come to the heavenly eclipse divine nation ruins to compete with us? Many people looked at the few people from the heavenly Akripud tribe and discussed among themselves. Lu Ming had killed a large number of people from the heavenly Akripud tribe. However, some of them had scattered and only a small number of them remained. At this moment, the people from the heavenly Acripud tribe had ugly expressions. Are the people from the heavenly Acripud tribe not coming? Yu Chang from the icy moon vine tribe looked at the people from the heavenly Acripud tribe and asked. We don't know. We can't contact young Master Huangfang. We can't even contact the two divine emperors. An old man from the heavenly Acripud tribe said anxiously. Can't contact them? The others looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. They could not contact them. They were either trapped in a place that was isolated from the outside world or they were all dead. However, they could not contact so many people. It was more likely that they were all dead, including the two divine emperors. Thinking of this, many people gasped in shock. Even the divine emperors were dead. What had they encountered? Could it be that they had encountered an octopus monster? Or were there other dangers? Before entering, they had heard that there were evil spirits here and divine emperors were not allowed to enter. Could it be true? Forget it. Let's attack first and break open the gates of the city. We'll get the opportunities inside and then leave this place, Yu Chang said. All right. Divine emperors from the major forces, let's attack. One of the divine emperors stepped forward. Then, the other divine emperors stepped forward. There were a total of 8 divine emperors from the 8 major forces. Some people knew that there might be more than one divine emperor from the major forces, but they did not say anything. Lu Ming naturally would not attack. Boom! The 8 divine emperors attacked together. 8 terrifying attacks blasted towards the gates of the city. Violent explosions were heard. Runes appeared on the city gates and the city walls to resist the attacks. However, the combined attacks of the 8 divine emperors were too powerful. The gates of the city shook more and more violently. The runes on the city walls flashed continuously. At first, it was very bright, but soon, the light began to dim. An hour later. Bang! Bang! The runes on the city gate continued to explode, emitting banging sounds. After a short while, the runes on the city gate disappeared without a trace. Without the protection of the Grand Formation, the city gates could not withstand the attacks of the 8 divine emperors. Boom! With a loud bang, the city gates exploded into pieces. Chapter 37-33. The city gates exploded. One could clearly see the scene inside the city. Inside the city, the light was very dim. One could see one ancient building after another. Go! Immediately, someone moved, rushing into the city. In a blink of an eye, they entered the city. There was no abnormality at all. There was no danger. The others set their minds at ease. They rushed into the city one after another. Lu Ming, Jiang Libang, they all also rushed into the city. Swoosh! Swoosh! Figures flashing, everyone spread out, flying toward those buildings. If there were lucky chances, it would definitely be inside these buildings. Lu Ming also flew toward a huge building. There were also over a dozen other people together with Lu Ming. These people came from various different factions. What was different was that there were people from the Qianli sect and Earth Origin sect among them. When they saw Lu Ming, they revealed looks of horror, figures flashing, and directly leaving. The remaining people did not know Lu Ming's strength. Lu Ming could not be bothered with these people and rushed toward a great hall. Brat, a 5th-level divine lord also dares to join in the fun? Get lost from me! A burly man with a head full of red hair shouted coldly, a palm leaf like enormous palms slapping over toward Lu Ming. This burly man's strength was not weak, having a 9th-level divine lord cultivation. If this slap landed, with Lu Ming's 5th-level divine lord cultivation, there was only death. His mouth was telling Lu Ming to get lost, but his move was a killing move, wanting to put Lu Ming to death. The means could be said to not be ruthless. This brat is dead for sure. When the others saw this scene, they revealed gloating smiles. But their smiles disappeared in the next instant. Fierce winds howled. The red-haired burly man's palm was about to hit Lu Ming. The one who gets lost is you! Lu Ming gave a cold cry, slapping out with a backhand. He clearly slapped out from behind, but it arrived first despite launching later. Before the red-haired burly man's slap hit him, a slap landed on the red-haired burly man's face. "Pa!" A crisp slap rang out, followed by a miserable shriek. The red-haired man's body flew out like a cannonball, smashing through several walls before crashing to the ground. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, and his body twitched a few times before he stopped breathing. He was slapped to death by Lu Ming. A 9th-level Divine Lord existence was killed just like that. The others sucked in a breath of cold air, their faces full of horror. They were filled with lingering fear, and some of them broke out in cold sweat. Some people had the same idea as the red-haired burly man, thinking that Lu Ming, a 5th-level Divine Lord's stinking bug, also came to join in the fun. They wanted to smack Lu Ming to death with one slap. It was just that the red-haired man was a step faster. If they had made a move earlier, they would have been the ones to die. Thinking of this, they felt a lingering fear. Go! These people only had one thought in their minds, and that was to avoid encountering Lu Ming. With Lu Ming's battle prowess, if he encountered any treasures, how could they have a share? All of a sudden, there was only Lu Ming alone left in this building. Lu Ming smiled. This was good too. Lu Ming entered the Great Hall and discovered that the furnishings in the Great Hall were very complete. It was just that some things were already decaying. Lu Ming looked around carefully and discovered that there were only a few things that were still useful. Lu Ming put them away. Then, he searched around again and did not discover anything. Lu Ming left this place and headed for another building. Following that, he searched several buildings in a row and did not discover anything. That is... Suddenly, Lu Ming felt that there were waves of gloomy and cold aura coming from ahead. Lu Ming flew forward and discovered that there were actually no buildings in front, but there was a huge pit. The pit was circular in shape, like a circular black hole, with a diameter of 100 miles. The waves of gloomy and cold aura were emitted from inside the pit. At the edge of the pit, there were already some other people. These people looked at the pit curiously. Why would there be such a pit here? It was too discordant. This was the capital of Skypath's divine nation. There were magnificent buildings everywhere. However, in the middle of the buildings, why would there be such a huge pit? This was too abrupt, too discordant, and too abnormal. What's down there? This is strange. This place should be a building. Why would there be such a huge pit? Do you want to go down and take a look? This pit looks abnormal. I feel that it's very sinister. If you want to go down, why don't you go down first? Everyone was discussing. In the end, of course, no one dared to go down rashly. In the end, someone took out a divine artifact and controlled it to fly into the pit. After a while, the divine artifact flew out without any abnormalities. There's nothing abnormal. Seems like it's just an ordinary pit. That's true. It's just that the Skypath's divine nation's people had a special layout. They dug a pit here. Everyone shook their heads. Some people wanted to leave. Suddenly, roar! In the pit, a tyrannical roar came out. Everyone was shocked. Did you guys hear that? There seems to be a roar coming out from the pit. I heard it too. Roar! At this time, another roar came out. It became clearer and clearer. Roar! Immediately after, roars sounded out continuously, filled with tyranny, seemingly very crazy. With this, many people's faces changed, retreating one after another. This sound definitely came out from the pit. Huff! The next instant, energy flourished in the pit, then one figure after another suddenly rushed out. These figures were in human form, but their bodies were shriveled, like skeletons. Their skin had a metallic luster, their eyes filled with a tyrannical light. Dried corpses. These living beings looked just like dried corpses. The moment they rushed out, they emitted a series of roars, pouncing over toward Lu Ming and the rest, their speed astonishingly swift. Kill! Everyone also launched a counterattack, unleashing one attack after another. A streak of dazzling sword light chopped onto a dried corpse, but it emitted a sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew everywhere, but it did not cut through the dried corpse's defense. This dried corpse roared and rushed over, its claws like divine weapons, clawing and tearing. Pullwork. Flesh and blood splattered. This 8th level Divine Lord powerhouse was torn into 2 halves, dying on the spot. These dried corpses even grabbed this person's corpse and started gnawing. The scene was terrifying. Miserable cries came out continuously. In an instant, more than 10 experts were killed. These experts were all 9th level Divine Lord and 8th level Divine Lord existences. But facing these dried corpses, they were powerless and could only be slaughtered. They could not even break through these dried corpses' defenses. There were also dried corpses that rushed toward Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming's palm was like a blade, chopping onto a dried corpse, emitting a loud bang. Lu Ming felt like he chopped onto a divine weapon. However, no matter how hard a divine weapon was, it could not stop Lu Ming too. Finally, this dried corpse exploded with a bang. Bang! 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 Lu Ming's palm waved repeatedly, attacking over a dozen moves in a row. Each move, there was a dried corpse that was killed. Chapter 37-34. Other than Lu Ming, there was another person who was extremely powerful. With a wave of his hand, he killed dozens of dried corpses. This person was the Divine Emperor of Qianli sect. Other than the 2 of them, the others did not have it easy. These dried corpses were not afraid of death, and their defense was extremely terrifying. Even quasi-emperors were not their match and could only barely protect themselves. Those below quasi-emperors could only be killed. Even if there was Lu Ming and the Divine Emperor expert, it was useless because there were too many dried corpses in the pit, and they were constantly rushing out. They killed hundreds of dried corpses and thousands of dried corpses rushed out from the pit. Retreat! Retreat! Those quasi-emperors and those below quasi-emperors did not dare to stay and frantically retreated far away from this place. Only when they were tens of thousands of miles away did the dried corpses stop chasing. The capital of Heavenly U Divine Nation was incomparably huge and vast. No one knew how many miles it was wide. Lu Ming did not stay, and after killing some dried corpses, he also left far away. There's something wrong with this pit. It suddenly appeared in the capital of Heavenly U Divine Nation, and there are so many dried corpses inside. Where did these dried corpses come from? Could they be people of Heavenly U Divine Nation? Lu Ming's mind turned one thought after another. This was very likely. Previously, he had continuously explored several magnificent buildings and found that there was not a single person inside, nor were there any corpses left behind. This was very abnormal. Even if the people of Heavenly U Divine Nation were killed, there should be corpses left behind. But he did not see any. Could it be that the dried corpses in the pit were people of Heavenly U Divine Nation? But why did the people of Heavenly U Divine Nation run into a pit and become ferocious dried corpses? Could it be related to the Heaven Patroller of the Heavenly Palace? Did the Heaven Patroller kill these people and refine them? Very likely. Lu Ming felt a chill just thinking about it. If it was really done by the Heaven Patroller, then the Heaven Patroller's methods were really vicious. Lu Ming thought as he hurried towards the depths of Heavenly U Divine Nation. Roar! Lu Ming was hurrying on his way when he suddenly heard a roar coming from ahead. At the same time, it was accompanied by the sounds of an intense battle and miserable screams. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. This was because this roar was extremely similar to the roars of the mummies from before. However, Lu Ming was already far away from the pit. How could there be a roar in front of him? Could it be that there was more than one pit ahead? Lu Ming was curious. He restrained his aura and rushed forward. Not long after, Lu Ming's eyes widened. Ahead, in the middle of the many buildings, a crater suddenly appeared. It emitted a cold aura, and corpses continuously rushed out of the crater. It was almost the same as what Lu Ming had encountered before. Sure enough, there was more than one pit. Many people were killed. Others frantically fled, leaving this place. Fortunately, after these corpses chased for a short distance, they stopped and returned to the pit. Lu Ming frowned and left with a heavy heart. After walking for a while, he met other people and learned a shocking piece of news from them. In the capital of Skyshine Empire, there were many pits like this everywhere. So far, at least a dozen of them had been found. In each pit, there were a shocking number of corpses. Sure enough, it's almost the same as what I guessed. Could it be that the people of Skyshine Empire have all been turned into corpses? Lu Ming frowned. If I'm not wrong, this is a large array. Gu Mo's voice sounded. Large array? That's right. Someone set up a great array in the Heavenly You Divine Nation. It's those pits that cover the entire Heavenly You Divine Nation. Then, after killing the people of the Heavenly You Divine Nation, they threw them into those pits. As time passes, they will be refined into dried corpses, never to be reincarnated, and suffer the pain of purgatory. Gu Mo said. What a ruthless method! Even with Lu Ming's temperament, he felt a chill in his heart. This method was too vicious. Killing someone was nothing out of the ordinary in the desolate universe. But to refine someone into a mummy after killing them. This sort of method was truly outrageous. This is obviously the method of the Heaven Patroller. It's normal for the Heavenly Palace to do such a thing. There are many more ruthless things that can be found everywhere. It's just that no one knows about it. Or even if they knew, they wouldn't dare to say it. Gu Mo sneered. He seemed to be unhappy with the Heavenly Palace. Lu Ming was silent for a while. Then, he did not speak and continued to move forward. Slowly, everyone figured out the pattern. As long as they didn't get close to the pits, the corpses wouldn't rush out and nothing would happen. Everyone distanced themselves from the pits and explored the buildings. However, even more people were heading towards the depths of the Sky Transcendence Divine Nation. This was because they didn't find any valuable treasures in the buildings outside. The capital of a country was naturally the core of the palace. Only there would be treasures and opportunities. Lu Ming's speed was very fast. He flew past many magnificent buildings. Soon, he arrived at the center of the capital of the Tianyu Kingdom. This was also where the palace was located. However, this place was in a mess. Many magnificent buildings had collapsed and were full of potholes. It was obvious that there were traces of a great battle. That is... Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a collapsed building filled with multicolored light. In this dusky environment, it was especially conspicuous. I want to eat, there are treasures I want to eat. Chiu on his wrist also squirmed and two big eyes appeared. It looked in that direction with greed. There? Is there a divine weapon? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. However, that multicolored light was very obvious. Since Lu Ming saw it, others naturally also saw it. Many people thought that there were treasures and flew in that direction. Let's go! Lu Ming's figure moved and also rushed in that direction. It was a collapsed palace. On the ground of the palace, there was a long spear. This spear was silvery white and constantly emitted multicolored light. Even from far away, there was a chill coming from it. This chill was very terrifying. Many 8th and 9th level divine lords shuddered all over, laying down a layer of frost on their bodies. Even their blood was about to be frozen. Only quasi-emperors could barely block it with their divine power. Lu Ming saw that the spear had many nicks. It had clearly experienced a great battle and was damaged. Even so, this spear still gave off an indescribable aura. It was vast and unfathomable. This treasure was definitely a peak treasure. Even if it was damaged, it was still a peak treasure. It was priceless. I want to eat, I want to eat! Chiu couldn't endure it any longer. It turned into a huge metal ball and revealed a mouth full of sharp teeth. It gnashed its teeth, deep desire in its eyes. I found this spear first. It's mine! Someone roared and took the initiative to pounce on the spear. Chapter 37-35. Someone took the lead and pounced on the spear. Get out of here! It's mine! Someone shouted and pounced on the spear, attacking the person in front of him. You're courting death! The person in front of him started to fight back. At the same time, the others also pounced on the spear. With the spear as the center, a chaotic battle broke out. Just as Lu Ming was about to take action and snatch the long spear, a terrifying aura permeated the air and a figure appeared in the sky. It was the Divine Emperor from the Qianli sect. Then, the other people from the Qianli sect also appeared. "Get out of here! This spear is mine!" the youth from the Qianli sect shouted. "Yours? How arrogant! Do you think that just because your Qianli sect has a Divine Emperor, we have one too?" Some people shouted fearlessly. "Let's see how you're going to snatch it from me!" The youth from the Qianli sect snorted and pounced on the spear. The Divine Emperor's aura burst out. He waved his hands and a huge fire furnace appeared, pressing down on the spear. Puff! 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 Many people's bodies shook violently as they retreated and coughed up blood. Some people who did not react in time were directly hit by the furnace and turned into ashes. "You're overestimating yourself!" the youth from the Qianli sect sneered. He was about to snatch the spear when a ray of light shot towards him at an alarming speed. "Be careful!" The Qianli sect's Divine Emperor's face changed drastically. He attacked at the last moment. A fire furnace appeared in front of the youth and collided with the ray of light. Boom! A violent explosion was heard as the flame furnace blocked the attack of the multicolored light. However, the chi that was released was still extremely terrifying. It was like a hurricane that swept in all directions. The young man from the Qianli sect gave a blood-curdling scream as he was sent flying. The other people from the Qianli sect quickly caught him. However, he was severely injured and his body was in tatters. Although he was not dead, his aura was very weak. Whoosh! A figure appeared in the direction where the ray of light came from. It was a green-robed elder. Everyone recognized that he was a Divine Emperor from one of the forces. A Divine Emperor sneak attacking a junior. "That's too much," the Qianli sect's Divine Emperor said coldly. "Didn't you also attack those below the Divine Emperor realm? Isn't that too much?" The green-robed elder sneered. "Humph!" The godly Emperor of the Qianli sect humphed coldly. He didn't say anything. His chi spread out and locked onto the old man in the cyan robe. Everything depended on strength. Without strength, it was useless to say anything. As the two Divine Emperors faced each other, their terrifying chi swept out like a hurricane. The others didn't dare to get close at all and retreated far away. Now that the Divine Emperor had made a move, they knew that they wouldn't get a share of the spear. Using the godly Emperor's spear as a treasure was courting death. "This is troublesome." Lu Ming also frowned. However, he was still a step too late. Now that there were two God Kings, it would be very difficult for him to obtain the spear from them. He might be able to fight against one Divine Emperor if he used all his means, but he was definitely not a match for two Divine Emperors. It would be extremely difficult for him to snatch the spear away. "Let's wait for an opportunity. When both of them are injured, it might be my chance." Lu Ming pondered for a moment, but didn't make a move. Instead, he hid in the shadows and waited. Whoosh! The green-robed elder was the first to make a move. His body flashed, and he dashed towards the silver spear at an extremely fast speed. However, the Divine Emperor of the Qianli sect had long been on guard against him. When the green-robed elder moved, he also moved. Buzz! A huge flaming furnace pressed down on the green-robed elder, causing the void to explode. The green-robed old man shouted and struck out with his palm. His palm was green-colored, like a sparkling jade stone, and directly bombarded the blazing furnace. Clang! A deafening explosion erupted. Green and red rays of light covered half the sky and terrifying cracks appeared in the space. The green-robed elder's figure retreated, and the blazing furnace was also destroyed. In the sky full of rays of light, the two continued to fight. Terrifying secret skills were used, and no one could stand in the area with them as the center. The two of them fought fiercely, and in the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged 100 blows. Just as the two of them were engaged in a fierce battle, a figure approached the silver long spear silently. It was like a ghost, and its speed was shocking. By the time Lu Ming discovered it, the figure was already near the silver long spear. "How dare you! You are courting death!" The divine emperor of the Qianli sect and the green-robed elder also noticed the figure. The two of them shouted angrily and attacked at the same time. Two attacks were launched towards the ghost-like figure. The ghost-like figure was a skinny middle-aged man in a black robe. He was also a divine emperor. When he saw that he had been discovered, his face turned gloomy. He knew that it was impossible for him to take the silver spear secretly. His body flashed, and he quickly retreated to avoid the attacks of the divine emperor and the green-robed elder. Kill! The divine emperor and the green-robed elder would not let him go so easily, and they continued to attack him. Don't think that I am afraid of you! The skinny middle-aged man in the black robe shouted angrily. His body flashed, and sharp sabers flew out. He attacked the divine emperor and the green-robed elder. However, the divine emperor and the green-robed elder naturally could not join forces. They were on guard against each other. After a few moves, the three of them were in a chaotic battle. Lu Ming was speechless. The number of divine emperors was increasing. How could he attack? That is... Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes widened. On the ground to the north of the silver spear, there was some white frost. The white frost was spreading towards the silver spear at a fast speed. Swoosh! 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 Then many silver-white vines rushed out from the ground. Each of the vines gave off a hazy glow like moonlight. The icy moon vine tribe. The first thing that came to Lu Ming's mind was the Frost Moon Vine clan. A total of 9 vines swept towards the silver spear, wrapping around it in an instant. Oh no! Lu Ming was anxious. Damn it! Stop! The divine emperor, the green-robed elder, and the skinny middle-aged man in the black robe roared at the same time. The three of them attacked at the same time, but it was too late. The silver spear was about to be taken away by the icy moon vine tribe. At this time, something strange happened. The silver spear suddenly shone brightly and a dazzling spear light burst out. The silver vines that were entangled around the spear directly shattered. With a scream, a figure on the ground was sent flying. It was a silver-robed elder. His face was pale and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that the one who tried to steal the silver spear was this person. He was a divine emperor of the icy moon vine tribe. What is going on? This long spear actually has such power? The divine emperor, the green-robed elder, and the others stopped and looked at the silver spear in shock. Chapter 37-36. The silver spear emitted a dazzling radiance, and a chill spread in all directions. A spear light soared into the sky and pierced through the sky. I want to eat! I want to eat! Qiuqiu became even more anxious, his eyes filled with passion and greed. Don't worry, there will be a chance. Lu Ming comforted Qiuqiu. Now that there was a change, he might have a chance. I don't believe it! The silver-robed elder of the icy moon vine race roared, his eyes filled with anger. Just now, he had used a secret technique to approach silently. He thought he could take the silver spear in one fell swoop, but he didn't expect the silver spear to attack and injure him. He was furious and transformed into his true form. It was a huge vine. It was silver-white and emitted a moonlight radiance. The vines waved and were crystal clear. As the vines waved, layers of ice crystals appeared in the air. This was the icy moon vine race, a plant life form. It was a powerful race in the primitive universe. Whoosh! 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 The silver vines intertwined like a net and enveloped the silver spear. Don't even think about it! Stop! Seeing the elder of the icy moon vine race make a move, the others couldn't sit still and attacked as well. They used all kinds of secret techniques to grab the silver spear, all wanting to grab it. However, the silver spear shone brightly and emitted rays of spear light, shattering the attacks of these people. There's still a trace of battle intent on the spear. If we don't destroy it, none of us will be able to get it. Why don't we work together to destroy the battle intent on the spear first, and then fight for it with our own abilities? The God King of the Qianli sect suggested. Okay, I agree. I have no objections. The green-robed elder and black-robed skinny middle-aged man had no objections. The elder of the icy moon vine race also nodded. He agreed to this suggestion. Split into 4 directions and attack! The god king of the Qianli sect shouted and appeared in the east of the silver spear. He shot out a ray of light that rushed toward the silver spear. At the same time, the god king of the icy moon vine race, the green-robed elder, and the black-robed skinny middle-aged man appeared in the south, west, and north of the silver spear. Each of them shot out a ray of light that rushed toward the silver spear. Boom, 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 boom. 4 rumbling sounds rang out. The silver spear burst forth with an attack, resisting the divine light of the 4 great experts. The ground exploded with rumbling sounds, and the heavens and earth shook. With the silver spear as the center, divine light soared into the sky. Even from far away, one could see it clearly. Put in more effort, or the others will come! The Qianli sect's godly emperor shouted. His body was engulfed in flames as he used all of his strength. With such a huge commotion, everyone who entered the heavenly transcendence divine nation could see it. Now, it was the 4 of them who were fighting for it. By the time the others arrived, the chances of them obtaining the silver spear would be even smaller. The others naturally understood this, and they all used their full strength. 1. Finally, under the efforts of the 4 people, the silver spear began to vibrate. The spear light on it began to dim, and its power became weaker and weaker. The spear seems to be flying out of the ground. In the distance, Lu Ming carefully observed. He discovered that the long spear was vibrating slightly. It was originally stuck in the ground, but it seemed to be flying away from the ground. Lu Ming was on full alert. Once there was an opportunity, he would make a move to snatch it. 1. The long spear vibrated more and more violently. The Qianli sect's god kings, the ice moon vine race's god kings, and the others all widened their eyes. They secretly retracted their power, waiting for an opportunity to snatch it. Clang! At this moment, the silver spear suddenly left the ground and turned into a ray of light, flying south. The ice moon vine race's god king was in the south. His eyes suddenly lit up, and he waved his vines like a net, wanting to trap the silver spear. However, the silver spear suddenly shone brightly and bombarded the rattan net. With a boom, a hole was pierced through the rattan net and the silver spear flew through. Good chance! In the distance, Lu Ming had been waiting for an opportunity. His original position was in the east. However, he had been paying attention. When the silver spear left the ground, Lu Ming could tell that the silver spear was flying toward the south. Therefore, the moment the silver spear flew out, Lu Ming flew south. As for the ice moon vine race's god king, although he didn't block the silver spear, he still managed to block it. Just a little bit was enough. Lu Ming had already arrived in the south and appeared in front of the silver spear. Whoosh! The silver spear charged at Lu Ming with astonishing speed. At the same time, the Qianli sect's god king, the azure-robed god king, and the others also discovered Lu Ming. It's him! The Qianli sect's god king was shocked. As for the azure-robed god king and the others, they showed a trace of disdain. They weren't worried at all. In their view, Lu Ming was a mere 5th-level divine lord. If he wanted to touch the silver spear, he would probably be killed by it. If it were another god king, they would be worried. It's coming! Lu Ming's mind was also highly focused. He activated 5 times his battle strength and prepared to go all out. To tell the truth, he also wasn't confident. He could only do his best. In the blink of an eye, the silver spear approached. I want to eat! I want to eat! Qiuqiu shouted and charged out. Its body rapidly swelled as it opened its mouth and swallowed the silver spear in one gulp. Then, its body constantly swelled as if the silver spear was trying to break out, but it couldn't break out. Lu Ming, the Qianli sect's god king, the ice moon vine race's god king, and the azure-robed god king were all dumbfounded. The silver spear was actually caught by Qiuqiu. Qiuqiu, run! Lu Ming quickly reacted and roared. Chiu reacted quickly and immediately charged at Lu Ming. However, it couldn't transform into a bracelet now and could only curl up into a ball. Lu Ming grabbed it and turned to leave. Brat, stop right there! How dare you steal this old man's treasure? You're courting death! Stay! The Ice Moon Vine Race's God King, the Azure-robed God King, and the others all roared and chased after Lu Ming. Among them, only the Qianli sect's God King knew about Lu Ming's strength. But after a moment of hesitation, he also chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming's strength was at most on par with his. With so many people joining hands, Lu Ming would definitely lose. Lu Ming unleashed his speed to the maximum, flying forward madly, breaking through the void. He was faster than the flowing light. Attack! Stop him for this God King! Stop that little bastard and you'll be heavily rewarded! The Ice Moon Vine Race's God King, the Azure-robed God King, and the others all roared. Those quasi-emperors and ninth-level divine lords who had already retreated far away attacked and stopped Lu Ming. Brat, stop! You dare steal a God King's treasure? You're courting death! Those experts below the God King realm all charged at Lu Ming. Although they didn't know what method Lu Ming used to take the silver spear, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 5th level divine lord realm. They didn't put him in their eyes at all. Chapter 37. In an instant, dozens of quasi-emperors rushed towards Lu Ming. These people rushed to attack Lu Ming, wanting to be the first to take down Lu Ming. Although there were 4 god emperors present, and they would not be able to get a share of the silver spear, they were still tempted to get a reward from the god emperors. These people are courting death! The god emperor of the Qianli sect shook his head. He knew how strong Lu Ming was. How dare these quasi-emperors block Lu Ming? Aren't they courting death? However, he did not warn them. Anyway, there were no Qianli sect people among these people. In fact, even if there were people from the Qianli sect nearby, they would not dare to block Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and punched out. His fist energy pierced through heaven and earth and crushed forward, causing the air to explode. This power! Not good, retreat! The quasi-emperors who attacked Lu Ming immediately realized that something was wrong. Lu Ming's attack power was too abnormal. But it was too late. The fist energy crushed through and the quasi-emperor's attacks instantly collapsed. The fist energy did not stop and continued to attack. Boom! 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 There was a series of explosions. These quasi-emperors exploded one by one. They were killed by Lu Ming in seconds. More than 20 quasi-emperors were instantly killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming rushed past them. However, these quasi-emperors hindered Lu Ming and slowed him down a little. The god emperor of the Icy Moon Vine race was the fastest. He quickly approached Lu Ming. Brat, stay here! The god emperor of the Icy Moon Vine race shouted and several vines shot towards Lu Ming like arrows. He wanted to wrap Lu Ming up. Boom! 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 Lu Ming turned around and continuously punched. The secret arts in his fists all exploded and bombarded the vines. The rattan shook continuously and was sent flying backward. Lu Ming's figure also retreated rapidly. He could feel a terrifying chill shrouding his entire body. There was already a layer of frost on his arm. The taboo power in his cells burst out and drove away the chill. This brat's strength! The god emperor of the Icy Moon Vine race was shocked. He never thought that Lu Ming would be able to block his attack. The green-robed old man and the black-robed skinny middle-aged man felt as if their hearts were being overturned. This brat is not any weaker than me. Attack together, don't let him escape! The Qianli sect's god emperor shouted and reminded the others to chase after Lu Ming at full speed. The Icy Moon Vine race's god emperor and the others were even more shocked. The divine emperor of the Qianli sect actually said that Lu Ming was not weaker than him? How was this possible? But at this moment, they didn't have much time to think. They erupted with all their strength and chased after Lu Ming. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, one attack after another crossed the void and blasted toward Lu Ming. The power of the four deity emperors working together was too shocking, covering all directions. "Break!" Lu Ming shouted and took out the string of stone beads. 2 stone beads floated out, and a powerful gravitational force enveloped the area. When the attacks of the 4 godly emperors reached the area covered by the gravitational field, they were suppressed by the powerful gravitational force, and their speeds slowed down. Their direction also changed a little, and they bombarded the ground, causing the buildings on the ground to explode and crumble. "A gravity-type treasure! What a strong gravity! It's another treasure!" The eyes of the Frost Moon Vine Race's God Emperor, the green-robed old man, and the others lit up with greed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, their speed was extremely fast, quickly closing in on Lu Ming. They used their source secret techniques, erupting with their strongest power. Even stronger attacks were directed at Lu Ming. This time, although their attacks were also affected by the gravitational force, they were only weakened by a little. They still bombarded Lu Ming. Lu Ming could only resist with all his strength. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming fought back with all his strength. But this was the attack of 4 deity emperors, not one. He couldn't block all of them. His left rib was hit, and 2 of his ribs were broken. Blood flowed out. His abdomen was swept by a vine, and a large piece of flesh was torn off. The terrifying cold chi froze his internal organs. Fortunately, Lu Ming's internal organs were no longer his vital points. Otherwise, his strength would have been greatly affected. Even so, Lu Ming was forced to retreat, coughing up large amounts of blood. With his current cultivation and the gravitational stone beads, he could barely contend with a deity emperor. But he was no match for 4 deity emperors. "This is troublesome." Lu Ming gritted his teeth and flew forward. At the same time, a powerful force gushed out from each of his cells to heal his injuries. "Kill!" The 4 deity emperors continued to attack. Although Lu Ming did his best to dodge, he was still hit, and his injuries worsened. "That's..." Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a huge crater in the ground in front of him. Lu Ming's eyes brightened. That crater had a large number of dried corpses. It was very dangerous. But now was a good opportunity for Lu Ming. If he rushed in, he might find a chance to escape the pursuit of the 4 deity emperors. Lu Ming did not hesitate to rush into that crater. Just at this time, crackle! In the sky, a huge lightning bolt as thick as a person's waist struck down on Lu Ming's head. "Fuck!" Lu Ming really wanted to scold him. Misfortunes never come singly. With a boom, the lightning directly struck Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body heavily smashed into the ground, smashing a huge building into pieces. However, the moment Lu Ming hit the ground, he saw a few more lightning bolts flying toward the deity emperors of the Qianli sect and the Frost Moon Vine race. "So it's not just me," Lu Ming thought. He felt intense pain all over his body. The power of that lightning bolt was too shocking. It almost turned him into charcoal. His body constantly surged with energy to heal his injuries. Boom! 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 Not far away, there were 4 violent explosions. The 4 deity emperors of the Qianli sect were knocked back by the lightning. "Kill!" In the distance, there was a loud roar, and then a huge monster appeared. It was the octopus from before. He had killed his way here. His body was covered with lightning, and the air around him was full of lightning. Some of the lightning was like tentacles sweeping out. Many people below the deity emperor level were caught in the lightning and brought into his mouth. Screams rang out. "Run!" Those below the deity emperor level screamed in horror and fled for their lives. But many people were caught and swallowed by the octopus. However, these people were just incidental to the octopus. Its gaze was fixed on the 4 deity emperors of the Qianli sect, and it charged toward them. As for Lu Ming, a mere 5th-level divine lord, he would probably be turned into charcoal in one move. The octopus could not be bothered with him. Whoosh! The octopus flew over Lu Ming's head, waving its tentacles as it charged toward the 4 deity emperors of the Qianli sect, the Frost Moon Vine race, the azure-robed old man, and the black-robed skinny man. Chapter 37-38. The octopus creature attacked the godly emperors of the Qianli sect and the icy moon vine race. It waved its tentacles, each of which was as big as a mountain range. It was covered with suckers, and on the suckers were sharp fangs. It looked ferocious and terrifying. The most shocking thing was that there were streaks of terrifying lightning on the tentacles. The 8 tentacles wrapped around the god emperors of the Qianli sect and the others. Under the tentacles, the space was shattered. It charged towards the 4 god emperors of the Qianli sect at an astonishing speed. The 4 of them could only fight back with all their might. Each of them fought against 2 tentacles. After a few explosions, the 4 of them retreated. Their faces were pale and their auras were a little chaotic. Not good. This fellow has eaten many people. It's stronger than when it first escaped, the icy moon vine race's god emperors said with an ugly expression. They had fought with the octopus before and knew its strength. When the octopus creature had just escaped, it was definitely not this strong. Obviously, it had recovered a little during this time. Shoo! Shoo! Before they could recover, the octopus creature charged towards them again. The 4 of them could only fight back with all their might. Lu Ming took the opportunity to run away under the cover of the buildings. Soon, he came to a secluded place and focused on healing his injuries. The most important thing now was to heal all his injuries. Only then could he protect himself. In his cells, energy was constantly flowing out. Lu Ming's injuries were quickly healed. The battle between the octopus creature and the 4 god emperors became even more intense. The 4 god emperors were not a match for the octopus creature even when they joined forces. They were completely suppressed and even injured. In the end, the 4 of them had no choice but to gather together and fight against the enemy. The 5 of them fought. Terrifying energy burst out and bombarded the ground. A large number of buildings were destroyed and debris flew everywhere. At this moment, the octopus life form suddenly stopped. Its 8 tentacles stopped attacking, and it looked down at a certain place. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the 4 god emperors of the Qianli sect. They quickly retreated and distanced themselves from the octopus creature. Then, they took out a large number of divine pills and swallowed them to recover. They were bewildered. They did not understand why the octopus creature suddenly stopped. At this moment, the octopus lifeform's attention seemed to be completely attracted by something below. It completely ignored the Qianli sect's godly emperor, the frost moon vine race's godly emperor, the green-robed old man, and the black-robed skinny middle-aged man. So he's not dead yet. What a wonderful method! He actually sealed his own soul. Hee, you want to use this method to avoid the mysteries of heaven, but heaven can't be defied. Heaven's net has a long arm, but nothing escapes it. Today you were discovered by me. Now I'll send you on your way. A cold voice came out of the octopus spirit's mouth. Then, his 8 tentacles waved rapidly. Zzz, the lightning that filled the sky gathered in the sky. Finally, the endless lightning transformed into a lightning spear. The lightning spear was tens of thousands of feet long. It was incomparably huge. The tip of the spear was pointed downwards, piercing towards a certain spot on the ground. Boom! Boom! Before the lightning spear could strike, the terrifying force had already flattened the surrounding buildings and flattened the ground. It looked like the lightning spear was about to hit something. Suddenly, numerous symbols appeared on the ground. They emitted resplendent radiance as a large formation appeared. Boom! The lightning spear ruthlessly pierced the formation. The formation shook continuously, and the ground buzzed continuously. A huge crack appeared on the ground. In the end, the lightning spear was blocked. Humph, how can a mere formation block me? Break for me! The octopus spirit shouted. Endless lightning appeared all over his body and condensed into a ball of lightning in the sky. Condense, condense, condense. The octopus spirit roared continuously. He used all his strength and injected his divine power into the ball of lightning. The power of lightning in the ball of lightning continued to compress and condense. Finally, it was compressed to the limit and fell towards the formation below. This time, the octopus spirit's attack was earth-shattering. It was several times stronger than the lightning spear from before. On the ground, the light of the formation became even more resplendent. Then, a figure appeared from the center of the formation. It was a middle-aged man. He was burly and wore a luxurious robe. He had a crown on his head and looked domineering. The heavenly palace is tyrannical. It will be destroyed sooner or later. The middle-aged man with the crown roared. He waved his hands and pointed his finger. The light of the formation became even more resplendent. Finally, it formed a scepter and attacked the ball of lightning. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. Lightning filled the sky and energy swept out in all directions. Even Lu Ming, who was far away, could feel the terrifying fluctuations. Gotcha! In the end, the formation could not withstand the attack of the ball of lightning. There was the sound of porcelain shattering. Cracks appeared on the formation. Then there was the sound of explosions. The formation was broken. The burly middle-aged man with the crown was floating in the air. His body exuded a vast aura. Monarch of the Skyleap divine nation, you have committed treason. Even if you have refined yourself into a spirit demon, it is useless. Today, you will never be reincarnated. The octopus spirit roared. It waved its 8 tentacles and attacked the burly middle-aged man. The monarch of the Skyleap divine nation. Lu Ming, the Qianli Sect's emperor, and the others were shocked. The burly middle-aged man was the monarch of the Skyleap divine nation. They had thought that the monarch of the Skyleap divine nation had fallen. They did not expect him to still be alive. However, according to the octopus spirit, the monarch of the Skyleap divine nation had sealed himself and refined himself into a spirit demon. The so-called spirit demon was a way to preserve one's soul after losing one's physical body. Using an evil method to refine one's soul into a spirit demon could be preserved for a long time. However, one had to pay a huge price. One would be in endless pain and suffering. Many people would rather die than become a spirit demon. Heaven's patroller, I did not kill you back then. Today, I will kill you. The monarch of the Skyleap divine nation roared. His body emitted a black light as he rushed towards the octopus spirit. The octopus spirit was not afraid. It waved its tentacles and attacked the monarch of the Skyleap divine nation. The two of them engaged in an intense battle. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Lightning and black light filled half the sky. Lu Ming was still fine. At this moment, the Qianli Sect's emperor and the Ice Moon Vine race's emperor were shocked. Heaven's patroller! They finally knew the identity of the octopus spirit. It was actually the Heavenly Palace's Heaven's patroller. Their hearts trembled and cold sweat dripped down their faces. They had actually fought with the Heaven's patroller. What if the Heavenly Palace blamed them? They shuddered and didn't dare to think about it any further. Now, they could only hope that the monarch of the Skyleap divine nation could destroy the octopus spirit. Unfortunately, things did not go as they wished. As the battle continued, the monarch of the Skyleap divine nation slowly fell into a disadvantage. Chapter 37-39. A mere spirit demon wants to fight against me? You overestimate yourself! The octopus creature roared and attacked in a frenzy. The octopus creature also had a special characteristic, which was its strong recovery ability. Even if its tentacles were cut off, it could regrow them in a short period of time. Therefore, its attacks were incomparably violent, disregarding defense. It was similar to Lu Ming's fighting style. The Lord of Skyleap divine nation was no match for it, and was retreating. Not good! The divine emperors of the Qianli sect and the Icy Moon Vine race had ugly expressions. They were secretly discussing if they should help the Lord of Skyleap divine nation to kill the octopus creature. But after knowing that the octopus creature was a heaven patroller, their hearts trembled. Attacking a heaven patroller was a serious crime. If they failed to kill the octopus creature and let it escape, the consequences would be disastrous. At that time, not only would they suffer, the forces behind them and the races behind them would also suffer. If they were not careful, their entire race would be annihilated. Their faces showed signs of struggle. At this moment, there was another change. Do you think that I have not made any preparations after all these years? Come out! The Lord of Skyleap Divine Nation roared, his body emitting a strange fluctuation that spread in all directions. Roar! Roar! In the next moment, roars could be heard, not from one direction, but from different directions of the Skyleap Divine Nation. That is, many people were shocked. Because they saw that in the Skyleap Divine Nation's capital, there were corpses flying out from those pits. There were at least dozens of pits in the Skyleap Divine Nation's capital. Each pit had a large number of corpses flying out. In the end, they were endless, densely packed like locusts that appeared in the sky. These corpses had red eyes and were emitting a baleful aura. Most of them were attacking the octopus creature. But there were also some that were attacking the divine emperors of the Qianli sect and the icy moon vine race, as well as those below the divine emperor realm. In short, these corpses would attack any living being that they could sense. Damn it! Suddenly, some 9th and 8th level divine monarchs were torn apart by the corpses and died on the spot. Many people rushed out, but there were too many dried corpses. There were dried corpses everywhere, covering the entire capital of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation. It would be difficult for anyone to escape. Swish! Swish! Countless dried corpses rushed toward the octopus. Trash from the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation, die for me! The octopus spirit roared and lightning exploded. Hundreds of lightning bolts shot out like hundreds of snakes. In an instant, hundreds of dried corpses were reduced to ashes by the lightning. However, there were just too many corpses. They were densely packed together and seemed endless. After killing a few hundred corpses, a few hundred more would pounce over. Some of them pounced in front of the octopus spirit and exploded. The terrifying power tore apart the octopus spirit's protective divine power, leaving wounds on his body. Even though the octopus spirit's regenerative ability was astonishing, it was difficult for him to completely recover after being attacked so many times. Extinguish! Extinguish! The octopus being's 8 tentacles danced around continuously, sending out dense bolts of lightning that killed those mummified corpses from afar. But don't forget, there was still the monarch of the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation. The monarch of the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation turned into a spirit demon. His battle strength was only slightly weaker than the octopus spirit. He turned into a black ray and took the opportunity to attack the octopus spirit. With a wave of his hand, a black ray flashed, and 2 of the octopus spirit's tentacles were cut off. The situation was completely reversed from before. Now, the octopus spirit was in a disadvantageous position. It was no match for the monarch of the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation. Moreover, the situation was terrible. It was retreating. The others were in an even more miserable state. Those below the Divine Emperor realm were killed by the large group of dried corpses. Miserable shrieks filled the air. It's a misunderstanding! A misunderstanding! We are not in cahoots with the Heaven Patrol, we just happened to pass by. Monarch of the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation, please stop! Many people shouted. They were incomparably terrified. However, the monarch of the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation remained unmoved. His eyes were cold. He naturally knew that these people were not in cahoots with the Heaven Patrol. They were not from the Heavenly Palace. However, he was very clear that these people came here to seize the treasures of the Heavenly Eclipse Divine Nation. In his opinion, they deserved to die. Therefore, he deliberately let these dried corpses kill everyone. Lu Ming was naturally being chased by the dried corpses. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming dashed left and right, constantly waving his fist. With each punch, a dried corpse would be killed. However, there were too many dried corpses. He could not kill all of them. Some of the dried corpses approached Lu Ming and exploded. The power of the explosion was extremely shocking. Even with the strength of the octopus spirit, it was injured, not to mention Lu Ming. The destructive power impacted Lu Ming's body. Wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body, even his bones were cracked. However, Lu Ming's recovery ability was dozens of times stronger than the octopus spirit. He quickly recovered and maintained his peak strength. However, the situation of the others was not as good as Lu Ming's. Needless to say, those below the Divine Emperor realm suffered heavy casualties. Large numbers of them fell, and there were not many left. Even those Divine Emperors were in a precarious situation. At this moment, other than the octopus spirit and the monarch of the heavenly eclipsed divine nation, there were 9 other Divine Emperors. 8 major factions, 9 Divine Emperors, because of the 2 Divine Emperors of the icy moon vine race, had all appeared. Previously, these Divine Emperors were either too far away or hiding in the dark. Now they were forced to come out. They were besieged by a large number of Divine Emperors and were riddled with injuries. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, the black-robed, skinny middle-aged man was hit by the explosion of the 2 dried corpses. A large hole was blasted in his body, and he was severely injured. Then, a dried corpse rushed over, and its claws were like divine weapons. It grabbed the black-robed, skinny middle-aged man's body and tore it in half. The black-robed, skinny middle-aged man's soul ran away in panic. However, when the dried corpse exploded, the destructive power swept his soul in. With a mournful scream, the black-robed, skinny middle-aged man was completely dead. The death of a Divine Emperor made the other Divine Emperors even more terrified. "Charge! We must charge out! Let's gather together and charge out!" The Divine Emperors of the Qianli sect and the others roared. They wanted to gather their strength and charge out together. "Don't even think about leaving. Today, all of you will be buried here!" The monarch of the heavenly eclipsed divine nation's eyes flashed ferociously. Under his control, many dried corpses exploded without fighting. Boom! Boom! The dried corpses around the Divine Emperors exploded one after another. In an instant, thousands of dried corpses exploded, creating a terrifying energy that swept over the Divine Emperors. "No! Damn it, damn it! I can't accept this!" Loud roars were heard, and then there was no more sound. Chapter 3740. As the destructive energy swept across, the voices of the Divine Emperors all quieted down. Dead? The remaining God Kings all died in an instant. None of them survived. As for those below the Divine Emperor realm, there was no suspense, as they were all killed. Of course, there was one person who did not die, and that was Lu Ming. He relied on his strong vitality to survive, but he was severely injured. His body was tattered, and it was a tragic sight. "What should I do? If this goes on, even if my vitality is strong, I won't be able to withstand it." Lu Ming was a little anxious. "Don't worry, leave it to me. It's just a corpse demon, I can handle it." Bone Demon's voice rang out. Then he saw black light flying out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows. This was Bone Demon's attack. These black light formed runes and fell to the ground. Soon, with Lu Ming as the center, a large array appeared in 100 miles radius. A strange scene happened. When the corpses appeared around the array, they looked confused as if they could not see Lu Ming and wandered around. "It really works!" Lu Ming's eyes lit up and said, "Senior Bone Demon, why didn't you use such a good method earlier? You won't die anyway. Being beaten up can stimulate your potential and increase your cultivation. Why should I use it so early?" Bone Demon replied. Lu Ming's situation was also noticed by the monarch of Skyleap Divine Nation. The monarch of Skyleap Divine Nation's eyes turned cold and revealed a trace of curiosity. He carefully sized up Lu Ming, and his eyes lit up, revealing a blazing flame. "Let's deal with this Heaven Patroller first." The monarch of Skyleap Divine Nation turned his attention to the octopus. At this time, the octopus was in tatters and only had 3 tentacles left. There were bloody holes all over its body, and its aura was getting weaker. "Heaven Patroller, you will die today. You wouldn't even dream of it. Back then, you Heaven Patrollers refined the people of my heavenly transcendence divine kingdom into mummies, torturing them for eternity. But after so many years, through my continuous efforts, these mummies are under my control. Today, using these mummies to send you on your way is also your retribution. Ha! The king of Sky Leap God Nation laughed out loud. He controlled even more mummies to charge at the octopus spirit before exploding. Destructive energy swept across the octopus beings from all directions. Bang, 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 the octopus spirit's body continued to explode. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Following an indignant roar, the octopus spirit's body completely exploded. The heavenly transcendence divine nation rushed over and grabbed the soul of the octopus life form. A small octopus was struggling in the hands of the monarch of the sky transcendence god country, as it roared continuously. Those who go against the heavenly palace will never be able to reincarnate. The octopus spirit roared. The heavenly palace is tyrannical. One day, there will be a heaven-defying person who will overthrow the heavenly palace. Now you can go on your way. The monarch of Sky Leap God Country said coldly. He exerted force and the octopus spirit's soul was crushed. In the next moment, the monarch of Sky Leap God Country looked at Lu Ming. The greed in his eyes became thicker. Not good, this guy wants to deal with me. Lu Ming's heart tightened. He asked Gu Mo if there was any way. My array can confuse those mummies, but it can't deal with this guy. If you want to escape, you can only rush out, Gu Mo said. Lu Ming was speechless. If he could rush out, he would have done so long ago. At this moment, the monarch of Sky Leap God Country moved. In a flash, he appeared not far away from Lu Ming. What a strong body, what vigorous blood chi. Good, good, good. It can accommodate my spirit demon body. The monarch of Sky Leap God Country muttered to himself. The greed in his eyes became thicker. Swoosh! He immediately ran towards Lu Ming. Don't even think about it! Shouted Lu Ming extremely loudly. He used all his strength to punch the monarch of Sky Leap God Country. At the same time, 2 stone pearls flew towards the monarch of Sky Leap God Country. Boom! Gravity filled the air and enveloped the monarch of Sky Leap God Country. Gravity pearls are on your body, but since I have a spirit demon body, gravity doesn't affect me, said the monarch of Sky Leap God Country, smiling coldly. He wasn't affected by the gravity at all. He continued running towards Lu Ming and collided with Lu Ming's fists. Bam bam! After a few attacks, Lu Ming sensed a violent strength surging towards him. His body shook violently, and he was blown a few hundred li away. It flew out of the range of Bone's formation. The monarch of Sky Leap God Country was extremely strong. He was much stronger than an ordinary cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Without the gravity pearls, Lu Ming couldn't compete with an ordinary cultivator of the first godly emperor layer. Of course, he couldn't compete with the monarch of Sky Leap God Country. As soon as he left the array, the corpses rushed towards Lu Ming and some of them directly exploded. Lu Ming was blown away by the explosion of the corpses. Damn it, it seems like I can only use the purple copper coffin, said Lu Ming helplessly. He had brought the purple copper coffin with him in case he needed it. Facing such a situation, Lu Ming had no other choice but to use the purple copper coffin. The purple copper coffin appeared in his hand. Lu Ming was about to open it. But as soon as Lu Ming took out the purple copper coffin, the monarch of Sky Leap God Country had already rushed towards him. His speed was astonishing, he looked like a ray of light. Lu Ming didn't have time to react. The monarch of Sky Leap God Country had already entered Lu Ming's body. Then, he rushed towards Lu Ming's consciousness. See? Ha ha, little boy, I will destroy your soul and your body will be mine, said the monarch of Sky Leap God Country while laughing excitedly. He had refined himself into the body of a soul demon, so he had to suffer inhuman torment at all times. However, a spirit monster body was much stronger than an ordinary soul. It was impossible to possess a body because there was no strong body for him to possess. But Lu Ming's body was different. He had seen everything that had happened before. He was sure that Lu Ming's body was enough for him to possess. Once he possessed Lu Ming's body, his spirit monster body would slowly return to a normal soul body. He would no longer have to suffer that kind of torture. Moreover, With such a powerful physical body like Lu Ming, coupled with his cultivation experience, he was confident that he would be able to return to the peak of his cultivation, or even go one step further. He was really happy. He didn't expect that he would have such an opportunity this time to send him such a treasure body. He couldn't wait to rush into Lu Ming's consciousness sea, wanting to obliterate Lu Ming's soul. But when he rushed into Lu Ming's consciousness sea, he was dumbfounded. There was no soul in Lu Ming's consciousness sea at all. It was empty. Where was Lu Ming's soul? He did see a black skeleton, but that was definitely not Lu Ming's soul. Chapter 37:41. How is this possible? How did you survive without a soul? Damn it, that's impossible. Brat, where did you hide your soul? Come out! Come out! The Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King roared hysterically. If he can't destroy Lu Ming's soul, he won't be able to seize Lu Ming's body. He was still excited earlier, but now, he felt like a bucket of cold water was poured over his head. So you want to seize my body and destroy my soul? Hee hee! A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. How is it possible to destroy his soul? His soul is now distributed among the 60 trillion cells in his body. If you want to destroy his soul, you have to destroy all of his cells. Kid, where's your soul? Where's your soul? Come out! Otherwise, I'll destroy your body and soul. You won't even be able to keep your body! The Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King roared. Are you willing to do that? Lu Ming replied indifferently. Why you? The Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King trembled in anger, but he really can't bear to do it. It wasn't easy to find such a good body, he can't bear to part with it. Once he destroys Lu Ming's body, he won't be able to seize it, and will have to endure endless torture. He has had enough of this torture, he doesn't want to wait for a day more. I'll destroy this skeleton first. The Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King roared and charged towards Bone Devil. But Bone Devil's figure flashed and disappeared, causing the Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King to miss. Senior Bone Devil, do you have any way to destroy this person? Seeing the Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King's action, Lu Ming wasn't anxious. He concluded that the Sky Eclipse Divine Nations King won't kill him so easily. He started to discuss with Bone Devil. If this guy doesn't enter your body, we won't be able to deal with him. But he's courting death by entering your body. I have to say that your luck is pretty good. Quick, activate your taboo energy and seal your body. Don't let him escape and use your taboo energy to destroy him, Bone Devil said. Taboo energy actually has such an effect? Lu Ming was surprised, but he didn't think too much about it. He immediately activated the taboo power. The taboo power in every cell intertwined and sealed his body. Taboo power, Bones said excitedly. The strongest power in the Your Desolate universe. This guy refined himself into a soul demon and entered your body. The taboo power just so happens to counter him. Destroy him! The monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Kingdom naturally couldn't hear their conversation. Then let's send him on his way! Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. Then countless amounts of taboo energy shot towards the monarch of Skyleap God Nation like little snakes. When the taboo energy approached the Heavenly Transcendence God Nation's monarch, he also felt it. Brat, you still want to resist? With your cultivation base, you're courting death. Break for me! The monarch of Tianyu Divine Country struck out with his palm, wanting to disperse the forbidden power. However, it was useless. The forbidden power was not affected and continued to entangle him. Damn it, what's going on? The face of the monarch of Skyleap Divine Country finally changed. He attacked with all his might, trying to disperse the forbidden energy, but to no avail. Damn it! The monarch of Tianyu Divine Country was alarmed and quickly rushed towards a direction. However, he was surrounded by the taboo energy. When he rushed into the taboo energy, it was as if he had entered a quagmire. He was blocked. His movements were very slow and gradually came to a stop. Moreover, when his body was touched by the taboo energy, it let out a sizzling sound and emitted bursts of green smoke. Damn it, what kind of power is this? The monarch of Tianyu divine country screamed in horror. Monarch of Tianyu divine country, since you should have died long ago, you shouldn't have stayed in this world. Now I'll send you on your way. That's where you should return to. Lu Ming's indifferent voice resounded. At the same time, he continued to control the taboo energy and rushed it towards the monarch of Tianyu divine country. Bullshit, my life is in my own hands. Even the heavenly palace can't destroy me. How can you, a mere divine monarch realm, destroy me? The monarch of Tianyu divine country roared. His body flickered with a demonic radiance. Like a divine weapon, he rushed towards a direction, wanting to break the taboo energy. He was unwilling. He was the monarch of Tianyu divine country, a big shot. When he was at his peak, not to mention a divine monarch, even a peak divine emperor could be slapped to death by him. How could he be willing to be killed by a mere divine monarch like Lu Ming? However, he was too far away from his peak. Without his physical body, he could only refine his soul into a spirit demon, struggling at death's door. He didn't have much strength left. At this moment, he was trapped in Lu Ming's body and was surrounded by the taboo energy. Sizzle sizzle, he was surrounded by the taboo energy. It was as if he was in a world of taboo energy. When the taboo energy landed on his body, it caused his body to emit wisps of green smoke. It was as if an ice cube had encountered a flame and was constantly being corroded. The monarch of Tianyu divine country retreated in horror. In just a short while, his spirit demon body became much dimmer and more illusory. It was like a flickering candle flame. He screamed. He was truly frightened and felt that it was the end of the world. Kid, let me go. Let me go. I am the monarch of Tianyu divine country. In the past, I was an existence that surpassed the divine emperor. As long as you let me go, I will stay by your side to assist you and guide you. In the future, I will help you surpass the divine emperor and become an overlord. It's not impossible for you to reach my realm in the past. The monarch of Tianyu divine country shouted. He was truly frightened and began to beg for mercy, trying to lure Lu Ming. You're going to guide him? Are you qualified? Gu Mo appeared silently not far from the monarch of Tianyu divine country. He looked at the monarch of Tianyu divine country with a faint sneer. When you were at your peak, you were just a little bit above the divine emperor realm. You dare to guide him? Even this old man is not qualified to guide him. Do you know what kind of power is attacking you? Gu Mo continued. What? What is it? Why is there such a power? The monarch of Tianyu divine country shouted. Because this is a taboo energy. Gu Mo said. What? The monarch of Tianyu divine country's body shook violently and his eyes revealed a deep shock. With his status, although he had never seen a taboo energy, he had naturally heard of it. Lu Ming's power was actually a taboo energy. Then, he must have the legendary taboo body, a legendary person who defied the heavens. This kind of person had endless potential. As long as he was given time, he could become an existence that could shake the entire universe, an existence that could make the heavenly palace tremble. He actually said that he would guide such a person. Just like what Gu Mo said, was he qualified? This kind of person, once he grew up, he would be an invincible figure. The monarch of Tianyu divine country's heart kept sinking. The taboo body must not be leaked out. Today, he will die. Chapter 3742. Fine. I never thought that I would be able to see someone with a taboo body in my lifetime. I have no regrets in this life. In the end, the Skyclips divine country's ruler sighed and gave up on struggling. Even if he lived in this world, he would still be tortured. Dying could be considered a kind of release. Furthermore, dying in the hands of someone with a taboo body was also a kind of honor. Kid, a taboo body is destined to defy the heavens. You're the heavenly palace's mortal enemy. Since that's the case, I'll lend you a hand. The Skyclips divine country's ruler said. Following that, a message entered Lu Ming's ears. Haha, I hope the taboo body can grow and cause the heavenly palace to tremble. I won't be able to take revenge. The Sky Eclipse Divine Country's ruler sighed. Then his body broke apart, taking the initiative to receive the taboo energy. Under the taboo energy, he was annihilated and completely disappeared. Lu Ming was a bit stunned. He didn't think that the Sky Eclipse Divine Country's ruler would give up resisting after knowing that he had a taboo body. Perhaps the Sky Eclipse Divine Country's ruler had a great enmity with the Heavenly Palace. Since he couldn't take revenge himself, he placed his hopes on him. Before dying, he even told Lu Ming the location of the Sky Eclipse Divine Country's hidden treasures. After the Sky Eclipse Divine Country's ruler died, the corpses were no longer controlled, and naturally scattered. They returned to the various pits and disappeared. Heaven and earth regained its calm. There wasn't any sound. Lu Ming let out a sigh of relief. Then he sat down cross-legged and focused on recovering. His recovery speed was shocking. It didn't take long for him to completely recover. He even felt that his cultivation base had increased by another level. He wasn't far from the 6th level of the Divine Sovereign Realm. Jiang Libang, what a pity! Lu Ming scanned the surroundings and sighed slightly. The Sky Eclipse Divine Country's capital was completely silent. There wasn't any sound. Clearly, no one had survived. Jiang Libang had most likely died when the corpses were wreaking havoc. Jiang Libang was a good person. If possible, Lu Ming would have saved him. But at that time, Lu Ming wouldn't have been able to protect himself. Furthermore, he didn't know where Jiang Libang was, so he couldn't save him. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure flashed in the capital of the Sky Transcendence Divine Nation. One by one, storage rings appeared in Lu Ming's hands. They were left behind by the previous experts. Of course, not everyone had a storage ring left behind. The destructive power of the self-destruction of the corpses was shocking. Some of the storage rings that were caught in the explosion were probably destroyed as well. When the storage ring exploded, the items inside would be sucked into the dark void. However, Lu Ming still had a great harvest after going around the capital of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation. He obtained a few hundred storage rings. Just the storage rings alone were already a great harvest. Heavenly Yu God Kingdom's treasure trove! At this moment, Lu Ming was thinking about the news that the monarch of the Heavenly Yu Kingdom had told him. The monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation told him the location of a hidden treasure and the method to open it. The location was in the capital of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation. Should he go or not? Lu Ming hesitated. To be honest, he was very moved. The Sky Eclipse Divine Nation's hidden treasure ground was absolutely astonishing. However, would the monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation be so kind as to tell him? One had to know that the monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation was killed by Lu Ming. Would he tell his enemy? Although Lu Ming was destined to be the enemy of the Heavenly Palace, and the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation was destroyed by the Heavenly Palace, it was a blood feud. If the monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation wanted to help Lu Ming grow, he would be able to deal with the Heavenly Palace in the future. However, Lu Ming wasn't confident. Let's go all out! After pondering for a while, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and prepared to go all out. He was still moved. The main thing was that the resources he would need for his future cultivation would definitely be shocking. He didn't want to miss such a good opportunity. Perhaps, the monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation really wanted to borrow his hand to deal with the Heavenly Palace. After making up his mind, Lu Ming stepped out and headed towards the depths of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation. Without any obstructions, Lu Ming's speed was very fast. Not long after, he arrived above a dilapidated palace. This palace was very vast, and he couldn't see the end of it. However, most of it had collapsed, and the ground was filled with potholes. It was obvious that it had experienced a great battle. Lu Ming recalled the news that the monarch of the Heavenly Transcendence Divine Nation told him. He swept his gaze around and then headed towards one of the collapsed palaces. Boom! With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming's energy surged and large pieces of stone and tiles were blown away, revealing a clean floor. Lu Ming sized up the floor for a while and then pressed his palm on one of the bricks. He inserted a strand of forbidden energy and turned it slightly to the left. With a click, the brick turned. "It's really like this." Lu Ming's eyes flashed. At present, everything was exactly the same as what the monarch of the heavenly transcendence divine nation had said. Lu Ming spun the brick. First, he spun it 3 times to the left and 3 times to the right. Click! The ground trembled slightly and then split open, revealing an underground cave. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and jumped down. After descending for about 1,000 meters, he reached the bottom and a tunnel extended forward. The walls of the tunnel were inlaid with luminous stones that lit up the tunnel. Lu Ming took a step forward. His muscles tensed up and he was ready for a great battle. He wouldn't completely trust the monarch of the heavenly transcendence divine nation. However, as he moved forward, there was nothing strange. "Is there no danger?" Lu Ming pondered. However, he still wouldn't let his guard down and continued to move forward. After walking for a while, suddenly, swoosh! A sharp energy came from the left and stabbed towards Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. Without looking, Lu Ming knew that the power of this attack was terrifying. If he was hit, he would definitely be injured. Lu Ming didn't even need to think. Almost like a conditioned reflex, he slashed out with his palm. In his palm, all kinds of secret attack techniques were unleashed. Clang! Lu Ming's palm slashed on a bronze battle spear, causing a loud bang. Then, a figure quickly retreated. As for Lu Ming, he felt a slight numbness in his palm. "It's a puppet!" Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He found that the one attacking him was a soldier covered in iron armor and holding a bronze spear. However, it didn't have any life energy. Lu Ming knew at a glance that it was a puppet and not a living creature. Bang! After the puppet steadied itself, it took a step forward and the ground rumbled. Its burly body rushed towards Lu Ming again. The bronze spear pierced through the void and pierced towards Lu Ming's forehead. At the same time, the walls on both sides wriggled and several iron-armored puppets emerged from the walls. Each of the iron-armored puppets held a bronze spear and stabbed towards Lu Ming. A terrifying whistling sound was ear-piercing. Sharp spears stabbed towards Lu Ming's vital points. "Damn it, the Emperor of the Tianwei Kingdom is not so kind!" Lu Ming cursed in his heart. However, he didn't stop attacking and attacked more than 10 times in an instant. Chapter 3743. Dang dang dang! A series of explosions rang out as the bronze spear shook. 5 or 6 armored puppets were sent flying, but their bodies didn't break apart. "What a strong attack! It is even stronger than an ordinary quasi-emperor's attack. Furthermore, his body is incredibly tough." A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The next moment, he frowned. This was because, regardless of whether it was the walls in front of him or behind him, there were constantly armored puppets appearing. In the blink of an eye, there were dozens of armored puppets. A puppet controlled by an array! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and then his figure flashed, rushing towards the front of the passage. At the same time, Lu Ming activated the battle secret art, increasing his combat power by 5 times. At the same time that Lu Ming rushed out, the armored puppet in front of him brandished its bronze spear and stabbed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and grabbed one of the bronze spears. With a forceful shake, a terrifying force poured into the bronze spear. The bronze spear vibrated violently, and the puppet's palm was torn apart. It couldn't help but let go of the bronze spear. Its figure retreated rapidly, knocking into the other puppets. Lu Ming held the bronze spear and turned it in another direction. The spear pierced out explosively. Lu Ming's strength was astonishing, especially after activating the battle formula, which increased his battle prowess by 5 times. He could easily kill a quasi-emperor level expert. An ear-piercing sound rang out as the bronze spear directly pierced through one of the armored puppets. Following that, the bronze spear violently vibrated, and a terrifying energy exploded out, tearing the armored puppet apart. Finally, one of the armored puppets was killed. The attack power of this kind of puppet was only slightly stronger than that of an ordinary quasi-emperor, but it was very difficult to deal with. Its defense was astonishing, and it was very difficult to kill. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, he could kill a quasi-emperor with a casual punch. However, Lu Ming had to use almost all of his strength to deal with this puppet. After killing one of the puppets, Lu Ming threw out the bronze spear in his hand. The spear pierced through two of the puppets and sent them flying in a skewer. On the other hand, Lu Ming did not stop. He continued to charge forward and punch the body of an iron-armored puppet. The iron-armored puppet's body shook violently, and there was a huge explosion, creating a hole that penetrated the front and back of the puppet. Bang, bang, bang! Lu Ming was valiant and invincible as he charged forward with all his might. One after another, the armored puppets were either sent flying or smashed into pieces by him. However, the number of armored puppets here was astonishing. They were constantly emerging from the walls. The speed at which Lu Ming killed them was not as fast as the speed at which they appeared. Instead, the number of armored puppets in front and behind increased. There were armored puppets in front and behind him. At this time, Lu Ming had no way to retreat. He could only charge forward and carve out a bloody path. However, there were too many armored puppets. After fighting for a while, Lu Ming was still injured by the bronze spear. However, he did not care about this injury at all. It would not affect his combat strength in the slightest. Lu Ming activated the gravity pearl, and 2 gravity pearls appeared. This time, the gravity pearls played a major role. The armored puppets were already very heavy. Under the pressure of the gravity pearls, many of them trembled and their movements became much slower. Lu Ming dashed past them, pushing the iron-armored puppets aside and moving forward at high speed. In an instant, he had rushed out tens of thousands of meters. At this moment, a bronze spear pierced towards Lu Ming. It was very fast and powerful. It was several times stronger than the puppets from before. A divine emperor's attack! Lu Ming's expression changed greatly. He quickly raised his fist to block. With a clang, Lu Ming felt an incomparably powerful force surging towards him. He could not help but retreat. However, the bronze spear was also blocked by him. It was vibrating non-stop. In front of him, a burly armored puppet appeared. This puppet was much taller than the previous ones. It gave people a strong sense of oppression. A divine emperor's attack. Lu Ming was 100% sure that this was a divine emperor's attack. Mother Asterisk Ker, the emperor of Tianyu is really up to no good. Lu Ming cursed in his heart. There were so many puppets here. It was definitely dangerous. He wanted Lu Ming to come here. Without giving Lu Ming much time to think, the divine emperor armored puppet waved its bronze spear and rushed towards Lu Ming. Press down! Lu Ming controlled the gravity pearl, and a powerful gravity pressed down on the bronze puppet. However, the iron-armored puppet of the divine emperor realm was too powerful. Although it was greatly affected, it still maintained its powerful combat effectiveness, and its speed was astonishing. The bronze spear broke through the gravity and pierced toward Lu Ming. Clang! The two of them clashed again. Lu Ming retreated, and so did the puppet. Bang! Bang! At this moment, heavy footsteps came from behind. Lu Ming's face changed greatly when he saw it. This was because another gigantic bronze puppet was approaching from behind. The heavy footsteps came from this puppet. This puppet was as tall as the divine emperor puppets. The other armored puppets made way for this bronze puppet. Another divine emperor realm bronze puppet. Lu Ming's face turned ugly. Swoosh! The two divine emperor armored puppets attacked at the same time. Their bronze spears pierced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure flashed, trying his best to dodge and counterattack at the same time. However, the bronze spears pierced through the air at an astonishing speed, following closely behind Lu Ming. Puff! Lu Ming blocked one of the puppet's attacks, but failed to block the other one. His abdomen was pierced and blood flowed out. The iron-armored puppet that had pierced through Lu Ming was about to unleash its power and tear Lu Ming's body apart. However, Lu Ming ignored his injuries and charged toward the iron-armored puppet, throwing out a punch. Boom! Lu Ming's punch landed on the iron-armored puppet, sending it flying. It lost the chance to continue attacking. I have to break through! Lu Ming gritted his teeth. He was no match for the two divine emperor armored puppets. If this continued, it would be dangerous. Lu Ming rushed towards the depths of the passage. However, the puppet would not allow him to pass. It brandished its bronze spear and attacked. This time, Lu Ming did not dodge. Instead, he allowed the bronze spear to pierce through his body until it reached the handle. He had already dashed to the front of the iron-armored puppet. Just like how he dealt with the previous one, he punched the iron-armored puppet's chest. The puppet's body was extremely hard. Lu Ming's full-strength attack could not break its defense. The puppet's chest caved in, and it was sent flying backwards. Lu Ming took the opportunity to rush past it. Behind him, two divine Emperor Realm iron-armored puppets were chasing after him at high speed. However, their speed was not as fast as Lu Ming. Lu Ming slowly widened the distance between them. But what made Lu Ming vomit blood was that he had not run far when two tall armored puppets appeared in front of him. At one glance, he knew that they were armored puppets of the Divine Emperor Realm. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.